I went to Whole Foods to get some salmon and some stuff. And I brought my reusable bag. I didn't know that they weren't taking them anymore. So I go to check out and the lady's like, "Oh, yeah, be able to take your reusable bags." And I'm like, "All right, no worries. So I throw it like in the bottom of my cart. So then she puts the two bags that they used in the store into my cart. So I leave the store, I put the cart back, but I forget my reusable bag is underneath. And so I get home, I'm like, oh shit.
That's the worst. Hey everybody, welcome to Without a Roadmap. This is the show for product people who don't have all the answers. We tell the stories of the PMs who get the job done, but are still figuring it out. My name's Yonas.
My name is Cam. Yonas and I are both PMs at Parlor, which is a startup located in downtown Boston. And like Yonas said, we're here to share the perspective of two early PMs, just figuring things out. So with that, today, we want to talk about how to prioritize all the things you're responsible for, how to manage your time effectively, and how to also deprioritize things that you can't get to during the week or during the whatever sprint you have, and how to communicate those things effectively with your manager to say, hey, I couldn't get this done because of XYZ reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the nice thing about, all things considered, being on lockdown, it's given us a lot of time to focus product-wise on kind of improving the core functionalities to Parlor. And that's exciting because, as much product work as possible, or getting to do as much product work as possible, is like what we love to do.
It's the fun stuff.
But that's the fun stuff. That's what I find most exciting. Sorry, Adam, the marketing work is it's also cool. But given that we have shifted our priorities, like we talked about a couple episodes ago, as a company, and we are taking on a number of new projects, it's kind of introduced the need for us to really manage our time appropriately. We've also brought on a couple additional engineers lately, so I was beginning to understand their cadences and just like overall organization, which is something that Cam could probably tell you he won't because he's a nice guy, but something I need a lot of work on. He's the organized guy of this group.
I try to be, but yeah, just like you said, like I feel like the last 2 weeks we've like just super ramped up and everything, even in the marketing stuff, which has made it difficult for me to kind of understand like what needs to be done and how to do things in order, like what's the most highest priority thing versus what I could be doing that, or not, what I'm not doing that could potentially block others. So for example, since we're doing a lot of product stuff, and obviously Jonah, our designer, does the designs, we write the stories, and we hand it off to engineering. So if we're not doing one aspect of either reviewing designs with Jonah, writing stories, or doing an engineering handoff with Louise, who's the VP of engineering, that could potentially block either Louise, Jonah, or the engineers who actually got to build the stuff you want to build.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been hard trying to find that balance between like we're doing a whole bunch of marketing stuff to kind of do all those initiatives we were talking about internally, and also prioritize all the big product stuff that we need to get done to be successful as a company.
Right. And then you're going to have your own priorities, like what the work you enjoy doing the most.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you said, at the same time, we have some really important marketing initiatives going on right now. Hopefully something we could talk about very soon. But it's just difficult because you have your own internal prioritization. Of like what you feel is most important.
The stuff that you default to, that's because you find it fun.
Right.
Or you enjoy more. So for us, it's like writing story, like doing all the product stuff. And then whenever, sorry, Adam, again, but when we have our blogs to write, like I've been pushing that back like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Sorry, that white paper, it's going to come. But, so as PMs, the rest of the product org, like the design team, the engineers, obviously heavily rely on our organization and our ability to prioritize, our ability to communicate effectively. So it's kind of the effect is exponential to the rest of the team when you're not on top of your own priorities as a product manager. So it's super important, but it's like still something that I think I struggle with. And, I would love to hear this, is obviously going to be anything we say is from our perspective. But, I feel like it's something that every org is deals with at some point, but I'd love to hear from other people's perspectives, like how they approach prioritizing work. Like it's just something that I feel like is talked about so much, but regardless of all
Yeah.
the tasks that I hear, that all the ways to improve, the different tools, like use Evernote, use this task man Todoist. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't get myself to using those.
Yeah,
Like
right,
it's
right.
it's like I'll just use a Slack reminder or
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing that we started at Parlor this year was like the company, what do we call them? Company campaigns, like the weekly campaigns,
Mhm.
milestones, where
Yeah.
we kind of break down high level tasks from each department. So engineering, marketing slash sales and product. And we kind of just do one or two big things and split up the work by each person or assign tasks to each person, which kind of helps like, hey, like this is your priority for the week. Like make sure if nothing else, if all else fails, you get this done. So I feel like that's helped a lot, us
Mhm.
switching to that kind of format, because we know at the end of the week we're going to be judged or like held accountable to what we were assigned to on the whiteboard.
Right, right. And yeah, like anybody else would probably just call that a sprint, but we're counterculture. We're
Yeah.
counterculture. So,
Yeah.
we
We're,
gotta
we're the
call them
hipsters.
campaign. Yeah. So it's essentially a sprint, but yeah, we don't want to hold ourselves to like, actually completing things at the end of the week, because one week is short. I also heard about 1 day sprints recently, which is wild to
One day
me.
sprints. What's
One
that?
day sprints. Yeah. It's essentially where you meet as a kind of like on a scrum team every single day. You have kind of like tasks that are assigned to you. You have a review, or like a kind of kind of show what you've worked on at 4 o'clock. It's essentially
Is that like a stand
presentate.
up?
Yeah, yeah. So like, but it's like being able to like push out things, and like kind of really small things, but
Ah,
very effectively over the course of the week, as opposed to working on larger chunks of items. And it kind of forces you, especially when you're working remotely. I think I could see it being useful, because it forces you to stay on task on a daily basis, as opposed to jumping from thing to thing. But I think it's tough, because you could also kind of face the psychological impact of not getting something done within a
yeah,
day, and
yeah.
that kind of making you feel like it wasn't effective.
I think for me, something I struggle with. I don't know if I struggle. Well, I definitely struggle with it. I should say that I always offer up my time. So if someone's like working on something, I'll be like, "Hey, if you need help from me, just let me know." And then it kind of like messes me up, because when they do actually take me up on that offer, it just pushes everything else down, because I'm basically saying I'll help you, but I do have other stuff to do. But it's like I don't want to be that person that offers my help, and then when they actually say, "Hey, I actually want you to do this," I'm like, sorry, nah, I can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Right. And like, oh, you're working on something for like Jonah, working on like breaking down stories, but then the CEO of the company reaches out and says that you have to draft these emails. Like, how are
Yeah,
you going to
yeah,
choose? Like, obviously one
yeah.
has a lot of dependencies and requires that you get something done for the rest of the team. But this is also coming straight from the person who signs your paycheck. So it's sometimes, like, obviously with smaller companies, it's might be a little easier, because you can easily communicate when
Mhm.
you're blocked, or when you're busy and you can't approach things. But it is still tough to prioritize when there's kind of competing
Yeah,
priorities or
yeah,
expectations from people on the team. You're working for the director of marketing, but you're also working for the head of product. And who do you have to,
yeah.
whose task do you get finished first?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Actually, you bring up a good point, because I feel like the general rule of thumb when managing your time effectively is to like block off time on your calendar. So say from 10 to 11, I'm going to work on writing stories. From 2 to 4, I'm going to work on writing the blog. But like you said, it's not always like realistic, because if you're doing that stuff and like you said, the CEO sends you an email, "Hey, I need you to hop on this call and talk about this for however long," like that block of time is just now gone. So you just
mhm.
can't, like the time you had blocked off to work on those tasks is just now just finished. Like it's just gone.
Right. Or when an important customer reaches out to you in Drift or live chat, and they're experiencing some issues, there's a bug, you get like, it's their
Yeah.
important customer. You gotta respond
Or
to
just have a
that. And
question like, hey, how does this work? It's like, oh,
right. And then you got to like dive in your bag and like, try and put together something formal, something nice. You got to
yeah,
record a video on Loom, and that takes 30 minutes and kind of throws you off your track. So, I don't know if I have an answer for like what, because at the same time, we always know that we want to get to customers as quickly as possible. We don't have a customer support organization here. You're looking at it. So
yeah, it's us.
so and we obviously know it's super important that you're responding
Yeah,
quickly
exactly.
to customer comments and bugs and issues that they run into. So but then on the top of that, you have a list of priorities, and
Yeah,
I don't have the answer. Like I don't know. Maybe we should bring it up, but with the management team. But it's something that I deal with on a daily basis.
yeah. I feel like when you're dealing with that stuff and you're not getting to everything you can because there's so much conflicting priorities and competing priorities. I feel like it's the most useful thing you can do is kind of communicate that with your manager or whoever you're working with, to kind of say, hey, like, I know I was supposed to get this done today or this week, but I didn't because of XYZ reasons, and I felt like those were more important to the company. So I did those first. And then usually if you have a valid enough reason, they'll understand and be like, all right, I understand where you're coming from. And you won't get too upset about you not delivering on stuff you were supposed to.
Right. Yeah. And I think it also comes down to work-life balance. If you're probably going to be able to get around to the work eventually. It's like, especially
Yeah,
since
yeah,
we're stuck at home all day. So
yeah.
even if I take a break after like 5-6 o'clock, I can always come back and work on something. But like, is that the best for work-life balance, especially in this in this situation we're all in, where we should probably get some air, which I haven't
Yeah.
been doing enough of lately.
Yeah, I need
um
to get back on my grind too.
yeah.
Or we
But
can play Mario Kart like Evelyn does.
yeah. Yeah, if we're not getting air, at least you're like getting a little bit of fun in. I can beat you around. If I can't do it in person on the basketball court, just do it in Mario Kart.
Yeah, you keep ducking me in Rocket League too, so.
I got you, man. Don't worry. I get you next.
So you talked a little bit about work-life balance. How do you think about going through your daily schedule versus like working from home and obviously like going to the office? Because I feel like obviously when you work from home, you save, at least in my case, at least like an hour and a half commuting every day. So
Mhm.
how has it like impacted you shifting to working from home versus going into the office?
Mhm. So I used to wake up at like 6:15 to get into work. I would get into work around 8:30. So that saved me so much time. The commuting, having to like get dressed and get cute before work,
Throwing that
like
kip.
that. Yeah. Yep. So there's none of that now. Like Cam's probably see me wear the same shirt twice in a row. Like it wouldn't be the first time. So that there's a huge time savings in that, and I don't think I'm using it super effectively, because now I'm waking up at like 8:15. And then by the time I get everything ready, I'm actually starting work later. So I think hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully management team's not listening to this, but like I feel like I'm working more productively throughout the day. Like I'm not chatting with people. I'm locked in from like 9
Yeah.
to 6 usually, at least. And so and you're stuck in front of your computer. It's probably not the healthiest thing, but I feel like I've been able to take that time and sleep in a little bit more and feel like really ready to go at the beginning of the day. But hasn't quite added additional time, like work time. So it's been nice though, sleeping in.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely probably get like at least 2 more hours of sleep, I would say. Um, This because I don't have to commute, and unfortunately, all the gyms are closed. So there's also me not going to the gym anymore now, which saved me a ton of money, which is also nice. Uh,
I'm locked into a membership right now.
you didn't
Uh,
get out of it?
they wouldn't let. They literally
They didn't
went
freeze it?
offline. They went offline and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we like have to like close our offices. I was like, you can't respond to emails. Like everybody's email got a auto reply set up, and they just said like, you know, we're just gonna upgrade everybody's account. But sorry, basically, you can't get out of your membership right now.
Right, like upgrade, so you're gonna have to pay more.
No, at the same price you're paying now, you'll get like Passport. You know, so who cares? Like I only go to one location. That doesn't change my life. I'm just gonna pay like an extra 3 months of membership for, you know. And again, I do that half the year. I pay for the membership and don't use it. So, you know, what's the difference?
Right. All right. I think it's a pretty good little segment for today.
Yeah.
The episode.
Yeah.
Keep
So
it short and simple today.
I think the whole main thing here that we've like made clear is that we're both very unsure about what the best practices are here. Like I think there's a lot of commonly, you know, recommended best practices, but I'd love to hear what people are doing in action at their jobs. So please let us know what you're doing to make sure that you're prioritizing work and that you're staying on top of everything, given, you know, change of priorities and you know, different kind of organizations within your company having different priorities.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one thing I'm going to try to do is actually get like a notebook or like a journal, just to try to, instead of like typing in Slack what I'm going to do today, kind of having something I write down and I can just mark it off. I feel like writing it down will actually hold me more accountable to doing something, as opposed to it just being on the screen and it just being up there. Okay. I feel like I'm such in the habit of just doing that it doesn't do much for me anymore. So I gotta switch things up a little bit.
All right. We'll check back on that in the next episode. See how that's going for you.
I gotta order one first, so give me some time. Amazon's a little backed up.
I bet you're gonna be surprised how bad all of our handwriting is. I don't know about you, but I haven't written like properly by hand with the pen.
My sister always roasts me for my handwriting, so we'll see how that goes.
It's been a while. A while.
All right, but for everyone listening, if you made it this far, follow us on Apple Music, Spotify, subscribe, download the episode. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode.
Yeah.